So over the last 2 weeks, the Guild has been slowly revealing themselves to us over social media, and it's been very obvious that the Guild, led by Emma Kagan, are the villains of Black Ops 7. But the biggest question that we have is, what does the Guild really want, and who are they really? Well, we're gonna dive into that right now. The Guild originally started as a combination of crime families in the city of Avalon. They were involved in everything from smuggling to gambling to training assassins. One such assassin was a woman named Savati Dumas. We saw her in Black Ops 6, and over the course of a year from 1991 to 1992, she has killed all the high-ranking leaders and crime family bosses within Avalon, leaving the Guild kind of unsure of what to do or how to go forward. But in 1992, the Guild rebrands as a legitimate company. What's absolutely hilarious to me here is that on the Guild's website, they say they took underground expertise and made a global shipping empire. By underground expertise, they 100% meant smuggling routes, and if you're thinking they might have connections to the infamous gun smuggler Raul Menendez, you might be right, but we have to wait and see. Anyways, over the next 10 years, the Guild became the Amazon of Call of Duty. They gave their employees bathroom breaks and guns, however. The Guild slowly became the #1 company in the world for shipping things from all over the world to any destination pretty quickly. They used their old smuggling routes to get there as fast as possible, making them one of the leaders in shipping in the world. We then move forward to 2002. The Guild has transformed themselves over the last decade into a massive shipping empire, and finally it has decided it's time for them to take it a step further. They're going to make their own shipping facilities, own production facilities, and begin developing military technology and civilian technology to be used in shipping, until we see Raul Menendez and Cortes Dia enter the picture. So around 2012, the Guild starts investing in building robotics and military equipment on a much heavier scale, and starts selling those robotics and equipment to private companies, people, and hospitals, focusing on global aid. Except for Menendez starting the Cortes Dia movement in 2014. Which led to the Guild coming in to give aid and supplies to areas ravaged by Cortes Dia rebels, building trust with the public, and it was around this time that they would also heavily invest into home security systems, making cameras, alarms, lights, everything that they could, and then even going further by cutting a deal with police departments to share their camera footage when requested, and in return, make the insurance cheaper for homes of people who owned their cameras. Which most people like the idea of, saving a little bit of money by buying a camera. And at this point, the Guild was heavily involved in daily life for everyone. Whether it was shipping or home security, the Guild was there, and they continued to build goodwill. In 2022, the Guild started producing robotics to aid in disaster relief, starting with a civilian version of the Claw and quadricopter drones, which were used to help find and rescue people after disasters. But they later rebranded their equipment from the Claw to now the Dog, and the drones were now called Legion drones. And by the way, what the Dog doing?
What the Dog doing?
Now these civilian models started being sold to different militaries and private organizations, this time armed with weapons and extremely expensive for early models, really only for people or businesses with lots of money. However, in 2025, after Menendez's drone attacks and his death, the Guild would come to the rescue of everyone attacked by the drones, offering aid and support, garnering mass amounts of goodwill, and starting a press tour talking about how they wanted to scale down their robotics to be used for home defense for anyone who wanted to buy a robot. Any civilian could defend their home and not be reliant on anyone else for safety. And this all came less than a week before they took their company public and allowed people to invest in the Guild on August 15th, 2025. Canonically, less than a month after Menendez's drone attacks. And the press conference was a flurry of commotion, with the Guild's chief technology officer, Victor Thane, promising to supply everyday people with drones and robots to help defend themselves, so they would not be reliant on local police. And moreover, they would not be reliant on the military for defense from global threats. With plans starting to sell their robots in bulk by 2030 and allowing pre-orders as soon as January of 2026. Their motto is, "Don't fear tomorrow." And it played into the fact that people couldn't trust their technology anymore because they couldn't control it. It was controlled by companies like Tacitus, who were owned by Raul Menendez, and billionaires who cared more about making a profit than actually protecting people. With the Guild's robots, you could determine exactly what you wanted your technology to do and how to defend you better. And this became especially important for their sales following the Solarium worm that crippled technology and infrastructure for 3 years following the Menendez drone attacks. And in 2028, a global agreement was made that there needed to be 3 or 4 layers of security on every piece of drone technology to ensure nothing like that ever happened again. But it gets a little more interesting. In 2028, NATO completely dissolves, and each country is once again determining who is friend or foe based on treaties, and the threat of nuclear war starts to loom overhead once again. However, in 2030, America invents the DEAD system, a series of guns and cannons positioned around the United States that can shoot down nuclear weapons before they even get into the United States atmosphere. And in 2038, the United States rolled out the new DEAD system, which used laser weapons to shoot down anything in the sky.
Now, firing.
DEAD system engaging target. Firing.
Shit, get out!
The most advanced technological company in the world in 2035, 3 years before the lasers come out for the US military, is the Guild. And it wouldn't be a stretch to say they had the first working copy of the DEAD's laser 3 years before the United States rolled it out in bulk. And we also learned that there was a space laser used to destroy stadium in Warzone recently, which makes a very interesting but very weird coincidence. And what I like to say for Call of Duty is there's never really a coincidence. There's always a secret plan. Like the fact the Guild is pushing for humanoid robots to start serving in the military in 2035, one of the kind of big premises of Black Ops 7.
Because by 2035, your enemies won't be human, and neither will your defenders.
Will robots replace soldiers? I think that's already started.
And we know from Black Ops lore, in 2044, robots were approved by the US government to start fighting in conflicts around the world after 4 separate votes over many years to try to get it approved. So in 2035, the Guild has a robot army that they are pushing to use and sell to everyone. They have space lasers and robots all around the world. And as I talked about yesterday in a separate video, it appears that they've also created a new bioweapon. Now, this bioweapon is one that you get for the operator finishing move called the Petri Melt.
Aimed at him.
But all of the symptoms of using the finishing move, the Petri Melt, are exactly the same as the Cradle was in 1991, but just slightly more severe, ending with actual death. In 2035, the most powerful company in the world has been selling robots around the world for at least 5 years. They have sold easily in the millions of robots. They are also pushing for the US military to adopt robots in military conflicts. They have a giant space laser. And they have a new biochemical weapon. We don't know what their plan is quite yet. But tomorrow is the reveal of Black Ops 7, and I'm going to be diving into everything that we find out tomorrow, so subscribe down below so you can be the first to know about everything Call of Duty, because I am IceBurgz, your Call of Duty informant. Stay frosty.